Welcome to Unearthly. People are disappearing from US national parks under some very strange circumstances. Here are some more missing people cases from David Paulides' book titled Missing 411. John Doe. Another strange case involved a 3-year-old boy whose name and personal details have been changed in the book for privacy reasons. In October 2010, John Doe's parents took him camping to Mount Shasta and they set up their tent right next to a creek. At around 6:30 that evening, they noticed that their little boy was missing and began a frantic search for him till eventually the Forest Service was alerted. Right away, search and rescue sprang into action and several anxious hours went by. Finally, the child was found alive and well. He was lying in a bush located near one of the trails and was reunited with his parents around midnight. A happy ending for the family, but the strangeness doesn't end there. Upon meeting his grandma Kathy some days later, John told her that in the time he went missing, he was with another grandma who looked exactly like her. She had the same face and same hair as Kathy. He said he found himself in a cave with his grandma, and at first he thought it was her, Kathy, till he saw some strange lights coming from her head. The boy said he realized then that she was a robot and not his grandma Kathy, and mentioned seeing other robots as well as some guns and bags in the cave. What happened next is downright bizarre. This other grandma took a piece of paper and asked John to poop on the paper, which he refused to do as he didn't need to. She seemed to be a little upset by this, and they soon left the cave, and the lady put the little boy in the thicket where he was found by search and rescue. David Paulides spoke to the grandma, and she told him that she'd also gone on a camping trip to Mount Shasta just months before her grandson's trip, and she had stayed in the same location by the stream. The next morning, she had woken up to a searing pain in the base of her neck and felt nauseous and sick. She assumed it was a spider bite, but it turned out that her companion too, who was sleeping in their truck and not at the campsite, felt some pain in the base of his neck. In both cases, it turned out to be a tiny puncture wound. She said it may not have anything to do with the case, but she just found it coincidental that she had stayed in the same place during her trip there. Linda Ortega. In September 2012, 53-year-old Linda Ortega was visiting her brother Eddie Huff in St. Joe, Arkansas. On 12 September, they started searching for a specific fishing pond that was in the woods but got lost and spent 3 whole days trying to find their way back. On the 4th day, the siblings got separated from each other. Imagine you're lost in the woods with your sibling. The first thing you'd both do is stay together no matter what till you're found. But in a very bizarre yet standard aspect of these cases is that somehow people get separated even from larger groups. On the 5th day, Linda's brother managed to find a way out of the woods, and soon a big search for Linda began. Luckily, she was found alive and well, but something bizarre had happened. She said there were people in the woods around her. She asked them for help, but it was as if they couldn't hear her and seemed to look right through her, according to the Missing 411 book. She said the people were hiding in the bushes and described them twice as being very weird. After her rescue from the woods, she was taken to the hospital where a doctor evaluated her physical and mental condition and found her fine, and he even remarked that her statements about the people were very consistent. In other words, she was in perfect mental health. She'd survived by eating berries and drinking water from the streams. Still, it would be tempting to dismiss all this as her imagination. Except that there are cases where people who briefly went missing have mentioned seeing other people, and even worse, being chased by these other people during that time. This is another element of high strangeness in these cases and suggests that there is more to this phenomenon than meets the eye. Lawrence Sullivan. On 16th October 1930, 3-year-old Lawrence Sullivan disappeared in the Nevada desert, about 150 kilometers away from Reno. basically in the middle of nowhere. This remote location was where his uncle John, a gold prospector, planned to search for gold, and they had just driven there. The road ended in front of a small hill, and it was the other side of the hill that his uncle John wanted to check out. So he parked his vehicle at the end of the dirt road and planned to quickly climb the small hill and check the other side. He told the toddler to stay in the car and began walking up the hill. Upon reaching the top of the hill just minutes later, he turned to wave at Lawrence, and the boy waved back excitedly. John then went down the summit to the other side. A little later, John climbed up the summit again on his way back and noticed that the toddler was no longer in the car. He rushed down the hill, calling the boy's name and looking for him, but the boy was gone. John even checked under the car for the boy. The greenery and shrubs were sparse, still the boy was nowhere to be seen. Now John faced a tough choice: continue searching for the boy or go find help. This would mean leaving the toddler all alone in the remoteness. John rode out and informed the sheriff, and soon a large group consisting of the sheriff's deputies and many people from the towns nearby began searching for the toddler. Initially, everyone focused on the area down the hill as the area uphill was too rugged for a toddler. But then a searcher climbed up a valley to the north of the site and discovered a child's cap. It turned out to be the toddler's. It was uphill and a mile away from where the car was parked. Strangely, there were no tracks leading towards the cap, but a few tracks were present beyond where the cap was found. The local newspapers came up with some crazy theories, saying that an eagle had snatched the toddler, which is why there were no tracks. Bloodhounds were involved in the search but were not successful. Eventually, a highly reputed Native American tracker named Oscar Mike was brought in to find the boy. Mike led the searchers on a day-long tracking search to a sheer cliff that was a whopping 500 feet tall. He told the searchers that the boy had definitely been in the area, and the search ended for the night. The next morning, Mike and the searchers arrived at the cliff with climbing gear and rope and began the arduous climb to the summit. As they continued, they noticed a tiny ledge high on the cliff, hardly 2 feet across. Here the boy was found, fast asleep. One tiny movement and he would plunge down the cliff to his death, except that he was found secured with a tree branch overhanging on the ledge, preventing him from falling. Somehow, they managed to pull him to safety from this precarious position. His face and body were filled with scratches, and his clothes had gotten torn, but apart from this, he was physically fine. Just as perplexing is that he was found literally yoked to the branch of the tree in such a way that it prevented him from falling down the cliff. Paulides says this isn't the only case where toddlers have been found secured by branches or trees, and there are other cases like this, and he feels that something is deliberately being done to prevent them from falling. The entire scenario seems like an episode out of Man Against Wild, except that it features a toddler. It raises some questions. How did the child end up 7 miles and then 500 feet up a sheer cliff? When the adults couldn't access the cliff without climbing gear, how did the 3-year-old manage to do that? How did the child survive 2 almost freezing nights in the desert? One profile point of these cases is that kids are often found in remote locations. Overall, the missing 411 cases are strange. Maybe someday this mystery will be solved, but now these missing 411 cases seem to have a lot of unexplained phenomena to them. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe and like. Thank you.